Serial Killer.
Welcome!
Yeah, the podcast where we pair violent criminals with breakfast cereal.
Because that sounds so, good for your morning.
So, yeah, so just a wonderful way to wake up and start your day is with your cereal that reminds you of murder.
I mean, sometimes people like coffee, but that's gross.
No.
So cereal.
We're all about cereal. So
Serial killer.
Yeah.
You can't see it in the audio video.
We have a sign. It says it. It's fancy.
Yeah, if you watch it on YouTube, you can see this, and you can see us actually.
You can see my weed mom shirt, because I'm a weed mom. Thanks, Reductress, for this t-shirt.
Does weed mom mean that you are like a mom to baby plants?
Well, I do have plants, but also that I am just like the mother of weed knowledge to my friends. I am the weed mom.
Can I be a serial killer mom?
Yes.
Because legitimately, but it's so bad. We were driving to Disneyland the other day, we were my friends, and I was like, they were saying something, and I was like, quick little factoid. That's the kind of car that Ted Bundy drove. And then I just kept going on about other facts throughout the drive, and I was like, yeah, I'll stop.
No one else likes this here.
But I'm just trying to keep them safe.
It's true. You gotta keep an eye out for the same car Ted Bundy drove, except more you have to keep an eye out for the Ted Bundy type.
Yeah, but the car too.
The car too. Well, as we see in today's murderer, who is an actual serial killer,
yes.
Son of Sam, David Berkowitz. He drove a white Ford Galaxy.
Yeah, I don't like the light cars.
No?
Even though I've had a silver car, I did not kill anybody in the silver car. I currently have a bright red car.
That's true.
There's no way I could get away with murder in a bright red car.
Yeah, no, I drive a Vespa-style scooter, so there's absolutely no way I could get away with murder.
Get a murder kit in there. What are you doing?
I could probably fit a 44 under, in the compartment under my seat.
Okay.
But then I would have to, stop my scooter, put it, on the kickstand, get it out. It's just too much.
Too much work.
Too much work.
Too much work to be a serial killer.
Yeah, no, so much effort. You have to go places and find people to murder.
Yeah. You guys, I don't think this is the career I want to do.
Also, I don't think you make any money.
No.
Well, it's interesting because after Son of Sam, they passed a law that because he, talked to reporters and the press and made all of this money off of these terrible things that he did, and the victims' families were so upset by it that they pushed for legal action. And so then there was a law that you can't make that if you are convicted of these heinous crimes and you make money off selling your story, it has to, any proceeds go into a victim's rights fund, and the money just goes back to them. But
I love that. I really love that.
It's changed again, because then our next episode
we'll talk about
a whole big thing with
Yeah.
being paid to talk about your story. But Son of Sam, he was because it was New York City.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot of the other serial killers, like the co-ed killer or something, where it's Midwest, there's a lot of room and space. He was just walking up to cars, murdering people.
Although with the co-ed killer, that's Ed Kemper.
Yeah.
Ed Kemper.
Yeah.
Ed Kemper was Santa Cruz.
That's right. Oh, I'm thinking of Ed Gein.
Ed Gein. He had so much space. He could
He was literally just he had he
so much
had
more.
Acreage. Yeah.
I mean,
but co-ed, you're right.
He did enough.
Co-ed was Santa Cruz, NorCal area.
Yeah, which, Jordan Peele just made even weirder. So thank you, Santa Cruz. I'm sorry, you're not my destination of choice anymore. Actually, you are, because I want to go to the bar.
Oh my god.
Apparently it's creepy as fuck.
I'm sure.
But today's cereal pairing. Okay, so I had this brilliant idea to find a dog, not flavored cereal. I almost said dog flavored cereal, and that's disgusting.
No, but
I would never eat
that.
that.
Would be so bad. Oh god. Dog themed cereal,
cereal
for Son of Sam.
Dog mascot. It's the same thing. Which everybody, I want to tell you, like, so many of my friends were like, there is absolutely a sheep lamb kind of mascot. And then went down the rabbit hole
There's not.
and Googled and was like, no, there's not. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
Because kind of part of the job here. So there is a Scooby-Doo cereal.
Yeah, but it's hard to find.
But it's not the season for it. I feel like it's going to come out when, like, Frankenberry, even though they've hit the stores.
Yeah, because school is already back in session, so
Right.
now it's time to start Halloween shopping.
Immediately after this podcast, if I go to Target, it will
That
be
will
there.
be.
But I found it online for like $40 on
Which, like,
eBay
considering
from last year.
We don't get paid for this podcast. It's too much money to spend on it.
No, and also old cereal. No. So closest thing to a dog mascot we have is the wolf from Cookie Crisp.
Yeah.
And I haven't eaten Cookie Crisp since I was about 8.
Oh yeah, I must have been like 7 years old the last time I had a box of Cookie Crisp.
It wasn't like our family junk cereal. Like
We didn't
do it.
really have it. Cereal for us was just like really boring. We were like a Cheerios house.
We were allowed to have sugary cereal, obviously. But this just wasn't anybody's
no one was
cereal.
like jonesing for it.
No,
It was like Cocoa Pebbles or something.
My mom liked Honey Smacks, so for a while I liked that. I loved Cocoa Pebbles and still do, but I buy the organic one now because I'm fancy and grown up. My niece and nephew, whenever they're over, they ask for the chocolate cereal.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Well, it makes your milk
Some
chocolate,
skews,
so.
you know. But yeah, like I wasn't really. I was like Apple Jacks was like fruity one I would do. I wouldn't do like Fruity Pebbles or any of that.
Fruit Loops I liked. I liked Fruit Loops and I
Fruit
liked Tricks. Those were my like sugary.
See, I never got into Tricks, but I'm sure we're gonna have
There'll have to be one.
So we're revisiting an old classic Cookie Crisp. I feel like this is one of the old classics.
I agree. I don't know how old. Now I'm gonna Google how old Cookie Crisp is because it's definitely been around for a minute.
Oh, you know what's so funny is like on the back of it, we've got like the Trix bunny, and who is this guy? This chicken.
Oh my god. He's on
Trix Rabbit and Sunny.
something.
Sunny, the Chip the Wolf.
Yup.
And Sunny and the Trix Rabbit along. Okay.
Who makes this? This is General Mills. Yeah. I don't know who else owns General Mills.
Well,
hey, it was introduced in 1977, so it's actually very fitting because that's the same year that Berkowitz got.
Isn't
finally
it weird that we've accidentally done like some
it's
really,
like really
weird
kismet.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but anyway. All right, we're gonna open up these Cookie Crisp cereals.
No high fructose corn syrup, so it's good
But
for
it's
us,
healthy.
really.
It's
Yeah,
real healthy.
It's
My mom
really-
said the same thing when she saw the box. She was like, you know,
No
we
artificial
picked a
colors.
really healthy cereal because it has no artificial anything. Do you want the giant scissors?
No, hang on, put the microphone down.
Be sure to put it right up to the crinkle.
ASMR.
I
It's our ASMR segment every time.
Ugh, no, I hate that.
I hate it so much.
I hate it.
It makes me tingle in the absolute wrong way.
Yeah, I'd rather tingle in a different way. Okay, so that's the sound of cookies being poured.
Oh yeah. These just look like cookies. I'm excited.
I want to taste it without the milk real quick. It tastes like a cookie that kind of went wrong. I'm not sure what went wrong with it.
It's like astronaut ice cream. It's kind of like freeze-dried cookies.
Yeah, but why couldn't you just put Chips Ahoy cookies in there, like little tiny Chips Ahoy cookies?
Oh, that would be perfect.
Because Chips Ahoy cookies are so artificial. Let's face it, and they're delicious. But nobody asked me about cereal construction.
No one consulted you when they made Cookie Crisp before you were born.
They should have known. They should have waited for my birth. I mean, listen, I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna eat the whole bowl.
Look, I'm not mad about it, but it's not my favorite.
I'm just not gonna go you know what I need? Cookie Crisp cereal.
I think I like the drumstick cereal better.
The drumstick cereal was
drumstick
bomb.
cereal was so good.
You guys, not even kidding. The
Like,
drumstick
no
cereal
joke.
was blowing my mind. And I was really excited for the banana nut one, but
That was bad.
that was
It was the
a punishment.
Laffy
Such a
Taffy
punishment.
banana.
Okay. Cookie Crisp. You gotta respect a classic. You gotta respect the fact that I'm crunching into a microphone.
I mean, a classic for a classic serial killer.
I would say though, this is a milk needed.
100%, yeah. Not really one that you can eat by the handful the way that you can with some cereals.
Like puffin cereal, I could eat that whole box without ever putting milk on it.
Yeah.
Milk elevates it to another level with a slice of banana.
Mm-hmm.
But this, I wouldn't fuck around without milk.
No, I wouldn't just eat handfuls of it. I would definitely need milk.
But now that the milk is there, I'm good with it. I will give it a knife up.
Knife up.
Knife up.
Yeah.
But knife up only with milk. Do better. Do better, dry. Do better. I'm not sure how they do better dry.
It needs more chocolate. I think that's it.
There's something very artificial when you eat it separately from milk.
You can tell that it's not a real cookie.
You know, you're like, that's not a cookie. Seriously, if they made a cereal, and maybe they do, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know the fact, like tweet us, whatever, email us, whatever. There should be little tiny mini Chips Ahoy cereal. Like, you know those little snack packs of Chips Ahoy cookies? The mini
but
ones
just
that
cereal.
you steal from your nieces and nephews? You're like, auntie tax. Let me eat this. Like that would be perfect. And then I could just put milk over it.
Yeah.
And then it would be absolutely unhealthy. But
so
I don't
bad for you.
feel like this is any healthier, but
that's what I love, because they also have like nutrition facts on the fucking box. And so they have
let's break down these nutrition
They have
facts.
it with milk, and then without. So without, it's one serving is 1 cup. It's 140 calories. There's 1.5 grams of saturated fat, or of total fat. Sorry.
I was like, there's saturated fat in here.
Just total fat. No saturated fat. No trans fat. There's 150 milligrams of sodium, 31 grams of carbs, 12 total grams of sugar, and 2 grams of protein. And then it's like your percentage amount of like vitamins.
Oh, does it have vitamins in it?
It says it has vitamins. Yeah, vitamin. Yeah, like B12, A, C, some potassium, calcium.
So this isn't bad.
This is not terrible for you, but then you go to the ingredients and like, whole grain corn, sugar, cornmeal, corn flour. It's just a bunch of corn and canola oil, and then the vitamin, and then it lists all the vitamins and minerals separate. But no, it's made with like actual stuff. There's nothing in here that I'm like, what the fuck's that?
That's good. We'll see.
Yeah.
Even more of a knife up now as I finish it up. So we picked this cereal because it was a wolf.
Which is the closest we could get to a dog.
And why we chose, why that was important was because the Son of Sam's, I don't know if it's his, I'm going to say his, like, defense. But his excuse, I guess is a better thing.
Reasoning, maybe?
His reasoning behind killing these people was that his neighbor's dog was possessed by a demon and was telling him to kill these people.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, my neighbor's dog talks to me all the time. I don't understand any of it.
There are so many dogs in my neighborhood that like bark at all hours, and it just sounds like noise to me.
It just sounds like noise to me. But
yeah,
if Layla, my neighbor's dog, was like, hey, Anastasia, I'm a demon, and I would like you to kill people, I'd be like, Layla,
no,
sit down, Chihuahua. But I think this dog was like a big, I feel like it was I don't know, a German Shepherd, right?
Something like that. It was a large dog. And it's something that, so I'm reading the book, The Son of Sam, that was written by his, I want to say psychologist, but don't quote me.
Okay. I'm quoting it directly.
No. Now I'm going to be wrong and 100 people will hate me.
If she's wrong, don't hate her.
Don't hate me.
Just
correct me, please.
Yeah.
But yeah. Who's it by?
I just wanted to see what the dog looked like because I found pictures of the dog, and it was it's like a black lab. His name's Harvey. Yeah, and he told people.
Yeah.
to kill him. Oh,
so
cute.
This book, The Son of Sam, which I got from the library, by Lawrence Klossner, is based on the authorized transcriptions of tapes, documents, and diaries of David Berkowitz, and it was released in 1981, so like 4 years after he was imprisoned.
Can you imagine if your diaries went public
Oh
because
my
you did something?
God, that would be
I would never do
mortifying.
something like this, but like if I accidentally did something or I became like super famous
yeah.
and people found my diaries and were
Yeah, if you like died tragically like Brittany Murphy or something,
Yeah,
and people were like, oh,
I did a direct
Horrible.
these are episodes.
Horrible.
It would be so stupid, you guys.
so terrifying.
I'd be like, everyone hates me. There's no founding to this at all, but everyone hates me.
I don't know, I'm just trying to be friends with people, and it's really hard. I don't know how to be friends, and everything's hard.
I'm so anxious
hard.
about having anxiety right
Yeah,
now.
like that would just be a lot of it.
And I can't believe that I'm still single.
But so in the book, he talks about how, I guess, Berkowitz was hearing demons for years. He had been hearing, like, Sam, and it was, like, through all dogs at one point. That, like, there were just dogs in whatever neighborhood he lived in the Bronx. And he had to, like, move out of the house because the dogs wouldn't let him sleep because the demons inside them were talking to him and telling him. And he, like, went out 2 times before he murdered his first victim to, like, shed blood because that's what Sam wanted him to do. So, and it seems like, yeah, once he got caught and the trial started, he was like, oh no, this dog, and, like, channeled it all into one thing.
Interesting. I will say, after watching Mindhunter, which if you haven't watched Mindhunter, I don't understand how you're listening to this podcast because
Season 1 and 2,
your demographic. The thing about it is, I felt watching it. I don't think this is a spoiler because it's really not about him at all.
No, he's only in a couple episodes.
He's only in a couple episodes. Really, this season was focused on the Atlanta child murders, which fucking thank God, because talk about
shit.
You know, like, I'm tired of underrepresented, you know, like, of minority groups being underrepresented in the care and you'll watch all these documentaries and stuff will happen in the cases because of these documentaries and stuff like that, and I just feel like it's always blonde white girls.
Yeah.
Sorry, that get their crimes actually solved. So it was really nice to actually have a focus on that lack of community and lack of community.
Lack of like
focus.
FBI, lack of
care for that community.
Exactly.
Is what I mean.
Yeah.
Care for that community.
No, and because of Mindhunter and the podcast Atlanta Monster, the city of Atlanta's reopened the cases into the remaining victims.
And we'll definitely have to do a whole episode on that because there's so much
that
God. I can't even right now.
But yeah, so Mindhunter season 2, David Berkowitz is in it.
As is like Manson and stuff like that. But there are only a few episodes that are focused on them because their crimes aren't being solved. They're just being interviewed about their crimes.
Yeah.
At this point, they're in jail and they're just being interviewed by the FBI to kind of begin this behavioral science unit,
trying to understand the mind and this like psychology of these sociopaths, these serial killer type people.
Which, can I tell you, is just my dream job. I
mean,
so interesting. It's so interesting. But they did sit him down in this. And again, I know this is an over-dramatization.
Yeah.
In fact, the 2 lead characters are kind of, they're based on people, but they're also not the same names, and there's different things because they are allowing those people to have their lives
free of this whole,
and so that they can add dramatic elements like they did in this season.
Oh my God.
Holy shit. But anyway, so they did sit down with him, and what I noticed that after hearing what you were saying is kind of you feel like you believe him in the fact that he was a sick individual and that he was hearing these things, and I feel like when we saw it in Mindhunter, and I don't know if this is a creative license, it seemed like it was bullshit.
No,
it
it
seems
was
like they were
super interesting.
catching him on bullshit.
Yeah, and I think he was, like, I think David Berkowitz was some type of paranoid, like, personality disorder, but I also, I don't know, I just don't know, because, like, the way this book is written, it has interviews from all of the victims and their families, and it has, like, his whole life sort of being told while you're also hearing, like, him murdering all these people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. But it could be just that he is, like, supreme serial killer and he knows exactly what to say to get people to believe that he was sick in the way they want him to be sick.
And I think that's what Mindhunter was trying to allude at, and I hadn't heard that before. Again, I also didn't 100% prescribe to the...
Yeah, the dog told me to do it.
Yeah, or subscribe, not prescribe. That's a different thing. I don't know. It's an interesting take. I don't know enough about his delusions.
Yeah.
To say either way.
It's interesting because from the interviews in the book, it seems like he didn't stay at a lot of these scenes to confirm that anyone had died. He just, like, shot the gun, saw blood, and then ran.
Which is, like, he's an interesting serial killer in that aspect where it feels like even if he is lying about the dog.
Yeah, even if he is doing it all.
He wasn't, like, a sexually motivated
serial killer. No, that's the thing, is there's no, like, in the book, because the problem, not the prop, but, like, one of the things that happened with Son of Sam is the press went fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. And it took over the city of New York and caused, like, severe panic. And so people were speculating, and, like, pop psychologists were coming out of the woodwork and being like, oh, well, he did this, and that means this. And, like, in the book, they were like, yeah, someone said that he crouched down to shoot Donna Lauria, his first victim, and that symbolized him, like, copulating with her. And then, like, master marksmen were like, no, that's just how you shoot that gun. You have to, like, lower your center of gravity, because the recoil's real bad.
I mean...
So, like, there wasn't anything implicitly sexual about the way he went about any of these murders. And they were also some of the first, like, serial murders with a gun.
Also, like, so when I'm saying sexual murder for people that are out there, I'm not saying, like, you have to actually do some kind of sexual act, but, like, getting off on it, it did seem like there was, like, him playing immediately, not checking on the body, not doing it. He didn't even revel in it.
No.
Unless he was getting off from the press, which,
that
was enough, I guess.
I mean, honestly, he was, and, like, I haven't read the book that Mindhunter's based on, so I don't know what it was
it's
like.
Right next to you, actually.
Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure.
Somewhere right over here.
Right over in the serial killer section. Probably under sexy.
Stay sexy, don't get murdered.
Somewhere over there.
But so I don't, like, really know what.
Right.
But it seemed like he wanted that acclaim and that praise and that, like, recognition more than anything.
Makes it a sexual crime.
And that could be the thing he gets off on, but it implicitly wasn't in the, like, act of committing, like, the act of committing the crime wasn't
the violence. It wasn't that.
Which is so different.
Kind of cowardly about it.
Yeah.
Well.
No, he was like a sort of schlubby. I don't know if that's the right word, but he, like, was a security guard and he worked in the post office for a minute, and he just, like, was so unmemorable that, like, when they went back, because he went to...
Now he's so memorable.
He's so memorable
so
now.
Maybe
but,
that
like, if you look at him, he does look like any random Jewish guy in New York. Like, he's just kind of, like, chubby, curly brown hair.
I mean,
basic
so
features.
What would it be his motivation
to do all this
if it wasn't like a claim or the fact that he was very sick and he did hear voices? I don't know. I'm not sure. I did have a little factoid sheet from Ranker, that said some interesting things. I didn't know this. He set over 1,400 fires in New York City before he turned to murder. So before he started out killing people, before he ever killed anybody, he was setting fires. And, like, that number is ridiculous.
That's insane.
They set, he set as to report, it's reported that he did around 1,488 fires in New York City.
Wow.
I don't even know how you do that. Who has the time?
He didn't sleep. He had that, like, paranoid insomnia where he kept hearing voices, and especially once he, like, moved where there were dogs.
So maybe he didn't run off, though, all the time.
No, that was his first couple.
Well, maybe that was working up being
not
fearful.
yeah. The first time he shot that gun, kind of thing.
Because we also have on Ranker saying he left handwritten notes for police near his victim's body.
Yeah, later on,
when he was getting a little bit more comfortable. It's the escalation of crimes.
Yeah,
and comfort in his MO. And then he targeted young women with long, dark hair.
Yeah.
I'm good. Thank you. In their 20s. This says it had something to do with a Korean prostitute who gave him VD.
That I don't know about. Oh my god.
It's fault, right? Maybe they don't have sex with prostitutes. What do you think they have?
Especially in the 70s.
Especially in the 70s. Everyone had VD in the 70s. It was like,
there were
so
many PSAs about it.
Oh my god. It's not her fault. She's a prostitute. She's living a hard life. And now you're just...
He was very much one of those, like, Virginia Tech guys who was like, well, every girl I ever talked to said no to me, and I'm just really mad at all women, and I hate them, and they should die. And, like, I think underlying everything that was there, because he doesn't speak well of women.
I mean...
But
they never do, though.
Oh, no, none of that.
I'm like, even the gay... Like, the gay-motivated, like, killers.
Yeah. Yeah, you have, Coral and, that other guy that he murdered, who murdered all of those boys.
Yeah.
And the Texas one. Might be the same one.
It just seems like... I mean, I think that's a lot society's fault. Society doesn't think well of women, and therefore, like, violence against them is just so... easy.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. No,
it's easy to,
and
like,
especially back then, that was the time when, like, you didn't call the cops for a disturbance next door. Like, if someone was having a fight, you just let them have their fight, and no one called the cops.
Still happens.
Oh, for sure. But, like,
still,
it was the kind of time where, like, if you were getting abused, there was no point in calling the cops, because they were just going to show up and say that it was something you handled between your husband and you, and then he'd go back to beating you. Like, that's what happened. So people weren't going to be calling for a bunch of things, or like, women especially had to either feel safe in their home or just, I don't know.
It's a dangerous time for women right now, and it's an especially dangerous time back then. But in the same vein, there was, like, this trust.
There was.
Which is weird, because it's like, you had no safety.
It was like the latchkey generation.
Yeah.
But this is also...
the, like, you know, just getting into people's cars.
Mm-hmm. Hitchhiking was still a thing.
You know, or, I don't know, talking to strangers and going to their cars. Like, stuff like that. It was just like, yeah, let me do that. Now I'd be like, no. Thank you. Please.
Yeah, no, some guy, I was walking down the street once, and some guy pulled his car over and opened his passenger door and was like, need a ride? And I was like, nope. And then I just kept walking, and I was like, are you serious? Sir, what is happening?
Like, nope, and I took a picture of your driver's license, and it's already at the, your license plate, and it's already at the police. Because report that shit, because that shit is the escalating kind of shit. As a person that survived a kidnapping, I know this shit. Also, he was in the army.
Yeah, for 4 years,
So
or like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, so he was a really good marksman.
He won awards for being an M16 marksman, and he bought his gun when he went to visit his buddy in the army in Texas, because New York gun laws at the time were like really strict, and he didn't want his name associated with any. So that's where he bought the 44 that he used to kill everybody. But then he went to New York and bought like 4 more guns, like one legally, and I don't know about the other ones. But he had like an arsenal. I don't know what he was preparing for.
We could definitely spend time on that.
But you know, gun laws, and it was hilarious because in this book written in 1981, they were like, "These gun laws are a joke, right?" And I was like, "Oh Lord." Yeah, so many things that were problems then are still problems, and it like horrifies me a little.
It's like we haven't learned.
We've learned almost nothing
Anything.
in like 30 years.
And you think we would, because we have so much technology now. Technology means shit.
Yep.
Here's a weird fact from Ranker still. After his incarceration, Berkowitz became a born-again Christian,
Yeah.
and not just any born-again Christian. He now claims that Satan and God are at war over his soul, and a group of Christians believers hold him up as proof that even the most apparently evil people can be saved. In fact, some call him an apostle, comparing him to the biblical Paul, who was also saved, also a murderer before being saved.
He wrote a book, like a born-again Christian, like this is my life with God kind of book.
Can we, like, not publish these things, though?
I was, like, so close to getting it from the library, and then I was like, I'm
But
not
also
actually going to read this.
I want to read it. But, because I love reading their own words, because I just want to know how they, how they function.
Thought process.
Because, like, Tex Watson now, he has written...
He is also born again, yeah.
A few, like, psychedelic Christian books, which are on our Goodreads book list, and I'll add the Sun Sand ones.
Yeah.
But I just want to know the rationality of it.
Of what, being a born-again Christian or writing these books?
Writing these books.
Okay.
Well, just them. Just them. Just them, and, like, how you... I feel like if you felt that there was a God and there was a hell, and you had committed these kinds of crimes, and you believed in everything that is said in these religions, you would just not be able to function anymore. You would not be writing books. You would just be like, I'm the worst
part
shit
of humanity.
person.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd be like, I'm redeemed now. They don't sell tickets to heaven anymore. Catholic Church stopped.
Doing that
They
a long
stopped
time ago.
doing it a long time ago. So I just... I don't know how you go from mass murder, serial killer, to prophet. And
yeah,
I don't understand the people that are like, yes, I believe in him. Yes, but I don't understand the people that follow Manson. I don't believe any of these things.
It's super interesting, and there are like victims' rights laws. I was listening to a podcast about the victims' rights movement, and a lot of the laws, like Sharon Tate's mom, after she was murdered, spearheaded a bunch of legislation, and the laws that she put in place allowed like victims' families to give hearings at like parole meetings and stuff, or give testimony at parole meetings and stuff.
As they should. And
so she was like, oh, and then this way they like won't get out on parole, and won't, like, all these victims' families will get the justice they deserve. Tex Watson, one of the relatives of the LaBiancas, started corresponding with him in prison, and when she found out he was like a born-again Christian and believed that he was truly saved, and so like testified at his parole hearing and was like, no, I believe that he's a better person and he should like get out and be back and rehabilitated in the world and stuff. So
girl,
it's an interesting thing,
girl,
because I like
no.
all of these people are definitely like some form of mentally ill. Like, I feel like unless you're in an extreme situation, to just murder, like, these are people who just murdered people in cold blood. It's like they didn't know these people. It's not like, oh, I was protecting myself or my family. Like, they just went out and murdered. And so to like,
yeah, I mean, you're so kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Call calling them crazy though sometimes is like feel like a slippery
no.
slope because that just gives them.
There's something.
Excuses?
There's just something.
There's wrong.
Off.
There's something wrong.
There's
with
something off, and they need more help than any normal person does, and it's so.
And some people I just don't, and this is really sad, and people are probably gonna be mad at me. I just don't think they're that redeemable.
No,
I think some people are just plain fucking evil.
Some people, just shouldn't be in the general society population.
Yeah.
They just are not good for it. It's not good for them.
I'm not sure what the answer is, but like, if it was up to me, if I knew that somebody was like that, put them on an island and just let them do whatever they freaking want to each
naked and
other.
afraid it.
I mean, you can give them stuff. Just keep them isolated from society. And let them do whatever the fuck they want to each other.
I mean, that was what Australia was supposed to be.
That is what Australia, and that is what the United States and some parts of Canada were.
Penal colonies,
Yeah, and look what we did.
Look what happened. We ruined Australia.
we ruined a whole...
We actually ruined Australia.
Whole indigenous people. Yeah. So maybe one where there's not an indigenous
maybe one of those abandoned ones. There's like tiny ones in the Maldives where there's just like nothing.
Like some billionaire owned it.
Just
give it to them.
Yeah, didn't Johnny Depp own islands?
Everyone
gone
owns
bankrupt.
an island, right?
Just take those over.
Just do that. Because I'm not 100% sure that I believe that, I don't know. But I don't know that Berkowitz actually talked to dogs. I do believe in extreme PTSD trauma.
Yes, I definitely think he had trauma, and especially because his early life, his mom flat out, he knew his mom flat out was like, I don't want him. And
which does something
that'll mess you up. That can mess you up. And so then his mom, his adoptive mother died of cancer very tragically, and it sounds like his adoptive father tried to hide it from him, so his mom just went to the hospital one day, and then David visited her months later. So that's not good for a 14-year-old boy. And he was showing signs of bullying in the 4th grade, which can be normal, but also can be a sign of a bigger problem.
Right.
So I think overall he had some screws loose, but I want to believe that he talked to a demon because it's so much more interesting if he heard these demon voices.
And listen,
that's fucked up.
That could be we could take it metaphorically. He's listening to the demons of his
his
soul.
Inner demons, exactly.
Because I don't know. I feel like dogs are really happy people.
I feel like dogs are traditionally the beast of Satan. Yeah,
and stuff like that.
They are associated with darkness and the devil, but it's
usually they're dragging you off to hell.
Yeah,
it's not usually they're manipulating.
No, the only thing is in Good Omens, the hell. There's a hellhound that joins up with the Antichrist,
right.
but he just becomes the Antichrist's
Helper.
Hellhound, and and so he just does whatever the Antichrist wants him to do instead of feeding demonic messages to him.
Yeah.
Tacos are too sweet for that.
I don't know. It's also it was hard for me to even focus on him for years because I was just to me he was such this, and again it's gonna sound so bad and I'm gonna get so much hate. It's he's such a coward. He just shoots people and he runs away. Yeah. And I'm not trying to give any other serial killers any props for the way that they kill people because that you suck.
Yep.
You suck. But I was just who is this dude? I never cared that much about him because I was the fuck?
Yeah. He was
the fuck, you coward?
He's interesting because he's Kemper, where he was so important to the study of serial killers and the psychology of people who commit mass murders.
And there's so many there's so many like him.
Yes, who did similar things and followed in that similar vein.
It's also it must really. I mean, I believe he's dead now, right?
I thought he died in 2000 something, maybe 90s.
But it must have really burned him that the Zodiac killer never got caught. You know what I mean? Because they did.
No, he's still alive.
Oh.
He was born the same year as my mom.
Wow. Yeah.
She is not in prison and has
She's
murdered
not
no
in
one.
prison. That's good. He's only serving 6 life sentences too, so I guess he only killed 6.
Yeah, I was looking at someone the other day who had like 600 years. I don't remember who it was, but I was like looking at a serial killer who had so many. It might have been our next one because she,
which
had some
can we
sentences.
I can't even.
But yeah, so
I was gonna
Berkowitz
get into
is
it.
still in prison.
He would be interesting to talk to because he
killed 6 people and wounded 7.
And that's what I mean. It's just like he feels so. He doesn't feel like I'm being oppressed. I don't know. Maybe that's purely
no. He was. There are so many other, like, lower middle class, like, adopted kids who were born in that same time period who did not go on to be serial killers.
Exactly.
Like, there are so many people who had much harder things growing up and, like, aren't serial killers. Wikipedia says, during the mid-90s, he amended his confession to claim he'd been a member of a violent satanic cult that orchestrated the murders as a ritual.
Do you know what I think he is? I think he's a compulsive liar.
Oh, probably.
I think he gets off on these like big outlandish stories. People aren't paying enough attention to him.
Similar to the way Charlie Manson was in his life.
Yeah, and I feel like nobody was talking about him in the 90s, and he was like, you know what?
Yeah. Well, and
it was a cult.
I would say there were resurgences of things in the 90s, not things, but like
cult
stranglers, cults, things like that were much more in the public eye.
Well, people were so scared of kids in the 90s.
Yeah.
And the goth culture, I felt like was at its like peak, and I'm like, dude, I was in it.
that everyone wearing like pentacles and practicing Wicca
and just going to Hot Topic and getting like this was not.
Yeah.
For those of you that are young and are listening to this, Hot Topic was
before
not
Hot Topic was like Disney-fied.
Yeah, Hot Topic was not like the place you got your Disney bound.
No, it was
like,
where they sold trip pants.
Gothic dresses that I totally
it was like all black cult club.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
that was Hot Topic, and so it was
chains and dog collar.
Yeah. And so it's almost like he's like trendy.
He's trying to jump on the.
Which does not seem insane. Seems calculating.
It very much does, and I think he also had to be some level of calculating to commit these murders. Like, it seems like if you just look at it from the outside, because like some of them are at night, some of them are in the day. They're all like in public. It's not like he took any of these people to a house or to a place to kill them. He like just shot them on the street. And so they're like, that seems on the surface super random and weird, but it probably was a much more calculated move, and it could have even been like to capitalize on the rising crime in New York and strike that panic into the city. Because I'm sure that would have felt for someone who like gets off on that type of like power and acclaim.
Well, I feel like he needed attention, right? He didn't get a lot of attention.
He got very little attention. His stepdad remarried, and his stepmom didn't get along, so he didn't have anyone near him.
Nobody gets along with everyone. Get over
step parents. From what I've learned during this podcast, step parents are very hit or miss.
Just get married once. Or don't get married. Stop switching the parents on these kids because they really get upset. They get really upset and become murderers. Stay together.
But at least Berkowitz got caught. Although Lizzie Borden never murdered anyone, as far as we can tell. Anyone else?
Well, again,
according to Lifetime.
There was a lot more murder.
But yeah, I wonder now that Mindhunter has brought him back into like the public consciousness again, he'll try and do something.
I feel like that's his MO. I do think it was interesting that they did talk about his methods of like of
yes.
not
preparation so much as like...
he's like, I just go around for hours.
Yeah, and that's what
and
he would drive around. He would drive
hours.
around in that Ford Galaxy forever.
And try to find like the
perfect
where things
score
aligned
almost.
so that he wouldn't get detected and he could do this and he could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like is a lot of serial killers' MO. Although some people put it into like specific work about like a specific person. They like track down a person, they keep at that person.
Yeah.
This guy was more random. He was more like,
this is just the perfect circumstance almost.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it was
wasn't.
circumstance than it was person.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the Golden State Killer, he kind of was like, I'm gonna make sure that everything, I'm gonna watch it for a bit. I'm gonna do this.
And was it the LA Strangler? It was primarily like prostitutes and then like black women.
Mm-hmm. Which then made nobody give a shit.
Yeah, no one cared at all for years.
He could get away with it for a long time, which says something about our motherfucking society.
Yeah. But yeah, so after David Berkowitz was I want to say kidnapped, but that's not the right word, was convicted and put into prison. I don't.
Just so you know,
me.
if I
Don't
ever
mind
get
me.
arrested, I just want to
call it
I was
kidnapped. I was
kidnapped.
kidnapped by the police.
I'm gonna call the police and go, I've been kidnapped by the police. You're like, arrested? Nope.
No, I was kidnapped. So, yeah, because there was tons of speculation about publishers giving David Berkowitz tons of money for his story, the New York legislature passed a law that was like colloquially called the Son of Sam law that prevented convicted criminals and their relatives from making profit on any books, media, movies related to their story. And then it got struck down in 1991 for violating the First Amendment rights.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now you have to kind of like sue like the Browns did in the case of, well, he wasn't convicted, but
yeah,
in the case of O.J. Simpson. Which a lot of people were actually upset that the victim's family went after him for the book. And I don't know, I've read the book now.
How was it?
So I'm gonna completely confess this, and maybe it's just being a person of color and being raised by a person of color. I believed way too long
that OJ was super great.
Yeah, I have pictures of him and me as a kid. He was a hero. And it wasn't until I saw the interview that was accompanying the book. They released it a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm so wrong. And so then this year I read the book, and holy shit, like, he has the whole chapter about the murder.
Yeah.
He said, okay, so now I know you want to hear if I did it,
of
this
course.
is how I did it. It feels so accurate.
Yeah.
It's so weird, and just like down to the point where, I mean, we should totally do a whole episode on him.
We should do a whole episode.
We'll have to do an episode on him, so I won't go too much into it. But people were really upset when the victims went after him for the book. I think it's a little bit more complicated with them because the victims, the other side of the family is still being taken care of
and
by some murderer.
The New York revised their version of the law, and similar laws have been put in place in 41 states at a federal level. So there is still some form of a law that prevents people from making money off of their...
What are you gonna do? Buy more, like,
cigarettes? That's what I want. You can't even buy cigarettes in prison anymore.
You can't?
No, they banned them from prison like 2010 or 11.
What do they do?
It's, you'll get into it in Orange is the New Black, you'll get there.
Obviously, I'm still on season 2, you guys.
No joke. It's a whole thing where they're like, cigarettes are going out of the prison.
Wow. Alright.
Yeah, I do not totally know why. I never looked into it at all, but you can't, it's not allowed.
Okay, but like,
so you can't buy them or
if you
anything.
are in jail for 6 life sentences, you're never getting out, and you sell a book for millions. What?
Yeah, are you gonna put that all in your commissary so you can eat like Doritos every day for the rest of your life?
I mean, there's nothing else to do, but that's still like
really
a lot of money for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be that it goes to the families, like his whoever
family.
their family is. It might be that it goes to an agent or an estate of some kind. It all
he
depends
doesn't have
on
any
like
children or anything, right?
he has nobody.
Nobody.
He he has like a half sister because his birth mom had a daughter before him, but yeah.
So even in that case, you're not like really benefiting. Because like,
yeah,
if you are a son or daughter of one of these like mass murderers or serial killers, like your life's fucked. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
it totally is. Like I don't even know. Like people are gonna be hounding you, like having a normal life, and just your mentality, like
yeah, because it's the kind of thing that like. No one knows from looking at you that you are related to a serial killer, but you have to like go your life knowing that your dad or your mom or whoever in your family like did this.
Yeah, like went to your freaking like Little League game and then went off and killed somebody in the crawl space. I don't know. No,
that podcast, the girl whose dad was the happy face killer, talks about it, and she's like, I'm just really worried that this could be in me. Like, I is there something genetic? Could this just happen to me at some point? Like, there's all that kind of stuff that you have to sit with, too, because we don't know. There's no way to know what's going on in your brain. Like, science has not developed any of that technology yet.
No. Brain is still a mystery.
It's still a big mystery.
But, yeah, I mean, relatively, like, he didn't do tons of crimes before he got caught. He did enough arson to last
tons of arson.
Anybody's life.
He killed 2 dogs.
So fuck him.
He like shot 2 German shepherds in an alley in Brooklyn.
If dogs are telling you to do stuff, why would you kill a dog?
Maybe he thought that killing the dog would stop the voices. If the voices were there at all. Maybe it was part of that satanic cult that he was in.
Listen, I'm confused by a lot of his signals and a lot of his stuff, so if he would like to clear it up.
If anyone would, excuse me, David Berkowitz.
If you could just...
Do you think you could write to him in prison? Like, do you think that
probably
he's part of, like, one of those prison pen pal programs?
I'm sure. And you know what's sad? Okay, it's not really sad, but... So, like, every serial killer, like, every single serial killer gets married in prison.
All of them!
And then, like, has, like, a bazillion kids.
I don't understand it.
Son of Sam is just sitting...
alone. Nobody likes him.
Alone. Dude, I don't feel sorry for you at all, but, like, that's some shit. That's some shit.
Every serial killer. Spike Lee made a movie, that movie, Summer of Sam, starring John Leguizamo. Yeah. I have not watched it.
So much sex in it. I was like,
what does this have to do with this? It's nothing to do with any of it.
I don't remember what year it came out, but I do remember I was like a little too young to like start and I was like, this is a lot. Ooh. And of course, like I went and saw it with my mom because my mom's my like serial killer partner in crime, and I was like, is there gonna be a serial killer in this, or are they just gonna keep banging each other and getting angry? But maybe
apparently they're just gonna bang each other and get angry.
Maybe if I saw it now, I'd be like, oh, the complexity of society and blah, blah, blah. Back then I was like, there's so many boobs. Very uncomfortable. And it was like those 70s boobs too, which I've never gotten used to. I'm sorry. I'm a rounder girl. These like little swoopy. I don't quite understand the swoopy. I was like, how does that happen? I don't want to know.
That was like when I discovered there are different like shapes of and then you have like teardrop breasts.
Yeah, but there's definitely like there is
like a type. 70s type.
Right. Yeah. But there's also a type that Hollywood loves, and it is this kind of like swoopy, tiny,
these like champagne glass tips.
You're like, there's so many other kinds out there, and they're good too.
Yeah.
That's a great way to end this.
Talk about boobs.
We didn't want to talk about boobs on the other podcast we're on, so maybe we've just done it. So thanks for listening, and if you have any more tidbits or information, please email us at podcerealkiller@gmail.com. We are on all social media at podcerealkiller, And we have our Goodreads, we have our Spotify. Please add to them. All the links are in our bios on all social media. Is there anything else I should say? Oh, by the way, I'm Anastasia Washington.
Yeah, I'm Maria Spirtolozzi. Thanks for listening or watching.
Thanks for listening and watching. And we totally said our names in the beginning of the program. You just missed it.
Yeah.
We just say it really
quiet.
quietly while we're opening cereal.